Okay, it's just recording. Okay.
You can close the team viewer here. There we go.
Okay, thanks. I forget where it was. I think it's okay. Okay, so this kind of represents, because it's a top-down view. So this circle is either a cylinder or it's a sphere. And so if it's a sphere, it's a really popular projection that they use to map the stars, because they would map the stars onto a sphere, but they would want to show it on the plane. And for whatever mathematical magic that I can't explain, something that comes out of this property whenever you project first at the center here onto the sphere, and then you project from here onto the plane, and you end up with this really nice mathematical property called it's just conformal. And with conformality, you have angles being preserved. So what does that mean? Well, with these stars that they would project onto the sphere, you would kind of connect them to form different shapes, right? Like constellations. So a circle on this sphere, after being projected for a second time onto the plane using this method, the circle would remain a circle. And that's what conformal means, is like these angles are preserved. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just some kind of, if you look at the math of like why that is, maybe you could prove that that's true. But I just don't know enough about it. But I will tell you that when I tried this out, I was looking for different projections. I don't know, fisheye. It was a Wikipedia article. It was amazing. This project would not exist if I did not see this. I was really curious about what Blinky was using, and it was something like this, and it was kind of warping it differently. And then I looked at this picture, and I saw that circle is being preserved. I was like, what is it about this projection that is actually retaining the shape of the things in my periphery? And why wasn't Fisheye Quake using that one? So that's why I started working on this, because I wanted to see what playing with this felt like, because this one felt a little nauseous to me. And I think that's what keeps me from getting nauseous anyway, was that it's preserving the shapes. But at the same time, it is still, so if I was looking at this circle in the periphery, it's going to be larger than if I was looking directly at it. So if it was in the center, I can probably just show this. But anyway, I think that scaling up as it goes to the periphery is what people expect whenever we're looking at things. So it's like the motion, whenever you're looking left to right, of the scaling up as it reaches your periphery is something that the mind expects to see. And why does it expect to see that? Because, and let me go up and refer to this one, that's just what happens in our own periphery, like when we see it kind of do that. And likewise, when it's going in your periphery, it's kind of like growing. So it's like a hybrid of these two things. And yes, it is retaining the shape. That's like a property of this, but the people who use this to project their star maps didn't really get this second benefit. And the second benefit to me is representation of motion in a way that we expect. So it preserves the shapes, but as it's moving around in your periphery, it feels like it feels a little bit like this when you're moving around, which is like kind of what we expect. And that's just like my hypothesis on why this works so well in motion. So that's stereograph. It's like a hybrid of these two things. It retains shape, but it also gives you like this decent motion that doesn't make you too nauseous. You know, you can kind of anticipate that motion a little better. So that's stereographic, but if it was a cylinder instead of a sphere, then it's not conformal exactly, but it is pretty dang close. So if you use a cylinder, what you end up doing is preserving vertical lines, and you're paying for that. Like it's any projection that you use, you're always like, it's a give and take. It's like a trade-off between like benefits and the detriments of like what you're using. And the detriment here is that it's much more distorted, like on the top and the bottom. Like if you look up and down, you'll notice some distortion that's a little weird. But if you're looking straight ahead, the vertical lines is stay straight, which is really well. It works really well for panoramic photography. So he's like taking pictures of like these architectures where it kind of makes sense to have the vertical line straight.
Yeah.
But he's not like pointing the camera down and still using the Panini, right? Because that would just look weird. And that's kind of a downside to using this in a game, because you're looking up and down. So to me, I kind of switch between the stereographic being like it works no matter what direction you're looking, and Panini just like looks real natural when you're looking toward the horizon type thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that kind of answer your question on like what it is and why it works so well?
Yeah. So what's like the stereographic and has the vertical lines staying in shape, and Panini, or was it the other way around? And Panini slightly bends the vertical lines.
No, Panini
What's the
keeps it
difference?
straight. I wish I had a good picture for this.
You said the circle is either a cylinder or a sphere. Is that the difference?
Yeah. So okay, let's like make this real. So let's say that you are at the center of this sphere here, where that camera is, and okay, you're in this room, okay, and this room is like spherical shaped, right? So you're like suspended in this ball, and you are, so the inside of that ball is painted like an environment around you. So you don't know you're in the ball, because everywhere you look, you're just kind of like seeing real things. Okay, so you're suspending, but now you float back towards the back of the ball, right? It's the sphere. And then you're looking outward. So what you're seeing from the edge of that ball, like looking outward, is exactly what you would see in a stereographic projection, right? So if that ball was different, if it was like in the shape of a cylinder, then what you would see once you're at the back of the cylinder is what you would see in the Panini projection. So I'm not sure where I was going with that, but that kind of makes it a little more real. And that's actually like the best explanation without going into the math, is just imagining this room, and like the point at which you are in that room defines what you're seeing, which is the type of projection you're using.
So could maybe if I had like a clear plastic sphere that had an opening, so it's like bigger than a football, like the size of I don't know, like a globe, an Earth globe, but clear plastic, and so that I could reach in, and I could maybe put like a light source in there, like in the middle, like instead of the light shining from the outside in, I would have a light source where the camera is, and maybe have some shape, and have that fixed, and look at the shadow of the shape. So maybe it's not clear plastic, and then I could draw the shadow that I see on the wall, and then I could take the light back to here and shine this on a wall.
Yeah.
And this would essentially be the Panini projection in real life.
That is exactly right. And this is how they illustrated it 400 years ago.
Oh, really?
So yeah, that's cool. So here's exactly what you're describing. They would take a light from there and then like shine it through, and then that's what they would see. So that's like a cherub explaining the stereographic projection. Right.
Man, that is so cool.
So I love that you like rediscovered that. That's cool.
Those people were smart.
Yeah, they were not dumb.
So the Panini projection is it an old thing, or like who is Panini?
I have
Is
not
he alive?
found. No, a Panini. Panini was like one of the painters that the projection is named after. Um,
Hmm.
but no, he's um, the guy who actually made it was what made it 10 years ago. I could not find a single source of anybody doing a stereographic like projection for a cylinder, which is like I was like, what? Why has nobody tried this? And it was
Yeah.
only recently that somebody tried it. So I don't
Hmm.
understand that. Or let me search. Maybe I'm lying. I don't know. No, there's like no trace of a cylinder. Oh, maybe it is cylindrical coordinates. I don't know. They only briefly mention that. So yeah, they have cool videos of people playing with the shadows and stuff. Yeah. So here's that. So he like
Hi, my name is Henry Segerman. This pretty well.
he does this 3D printing of this thing so that once you shine it at the
Hmm.
right light or at the right point, it just forms a perfect grid.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
So
I think maybe I think maybe a very inefficient way that can be used for experiments is maybe to have actual cameras and have them render to textures which are put on actual objects, like an actual sphere or a cylinder or stuff, and then have a second camera that looks at that
mhm.
and um, handle this thing in the scene editor in Unity and look at that in real time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
he could do
this
that.
this can probably be used for experimentation or maybe for educational purposes. I mean, this is the thing. I sent you a link to a guy who, after watching the video, made a small game in Unreal where you jump around stuff, and he didn't know anything about shaders and stuff like that. So he took a reflective sphere and stuck it into the camera of the player.
Oh wow.
This is how he got
That's
a
awesome.
fisheye projection.
Yeah, that was
I think
it's Jet
it's pretty
Hands,
creative.
right? I want to play that real quick.
Yeah,
Jet Hands. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. And yeah, I think it's pretty creative, and it reminds me of artists um, that work on games to just use whatever tools they have in ways that are probably not intended by the people who made the tools.
Yeah, I
So
love
why
that he
not?
did that. Have you played it?
Yeah, I tried it.
I did not. I was on a Mac at the time.
Mm.
So you just extract it. I see.